My sister told her fiancé I was a drug addict, so I'd be uninvited from the wedding. So I showed up in a tux and handed him a USB drive labeled, "You deserve the truth." He played it before the vows. When my phone buzzed that morning, I was elbow deep in a busted sink pipe and covered in grime. I'm a plumber by trade. Nothing glamorous, but it pays well and keeps my hands busy. That text, though, it stopped everything. "Hey, just a heads up, you're not on the guest list anymore. Thought you should hear it from me first. Sorry, man." The message came from my cousin Daniel, who was helping coordinate my little sister's wedding. "My name's Kyle, I'm 31, and for the record, I haven't touched anything stronger than ibuprofen in over 7 years. But that morning, I found out my sister Sarah told her fiancé, and apparently the entire family, that I'd relapsed, that I was using again, that I was a danger, and that's why I was being uninvited from her wedding. I didn't even know how to process that at first. I sat back on the floor of my client's bathroom, wiped my hands on a towel, and just stared at that screen. Was this a joke? A mistake? A lie? Or some wild overreaction to something I didn't even realize I'd done? Sarah is 4 years younger than me. We were close once. Real close. She was the smart one, the bubbly one, the one everyone loved at every family dinner while I was quietly trying to rebuild my life after some mistakes in my early 20s. Yeah, I had a rough patch. I've never denied it. Back in college, I got mixed up with the wrong crowd. Bad nights turned into worse habits. I went through rehab at 24. Been clean ever since. No slip-ups. No secret stashes. No second chances needed. I put the work in and earned my peace. But apparently, my sister decided that peace wasn't convenient anymore. The thing is, I introduced her to Nathan, her now fiancé. He was a good guy. We'd worked together for a while on a renovation project and clicked pretty fast. I brought him to a barbecue at my mom's, and Sarah locked eyes with him before we'd even finished the burgers. They started dating that week. I didn't mind. It was actually kind of cool to see them together. Nathan's a bit quiet, but solid. Or, I thought he was. Over the years, though, I started noticing shifts. Sarah got more controlling. She used to call me when she was stressed. Now she only texted me when she needed something. Help moving furniture, borrowing money, talking to our mom for her. Then last year, she asked me for a small loan. 20 grand. I told her no. It wasn't personal. I just didn't have it. And even if I did, I didn't feel comfortable handing over that kind of cash when I knew she wasn't being honest about why she needed it. That's when the distance really started. But I had no idea it had gotten this bad. After Daniel's text, I called my mom. "Hey," I started casually. "I heard from Dan. Just wanted to check. Am I really not invited to the wedding anymore?" There was a pause. A long one. "Oh, honey," she said, with that soft disappointment that's somehow worse than shouting. "Sarah's going through a lot. And Nathan is very sensitive about, stability. She just thought it would be better if we avoided any tension on the day." "What tension?" I said flatly. Another pause. "She told him you were having some struggles again. Maybe not a full relapse, but enough that she didn't want to risk upsetting anyone." It felt like my stomach dropped out. "That's a lie," I said. "I haven't even had a beer in months." "What is she doing, Mom?" "I don't want to get in the middle of this," she said quickly. "It's her big day, and she's just nervous. Maybe you could just let this one go." Let it go. Right. Because being slandered by your own sister at your own family's wedding is just something you shrug off, like a late RSVP. I hung up and sat in silence for a long time. I kept thinking about how Sarah used to sit next to me on the porch when we were kids, making up little stories about the neighbors. How she cried when she found out I was going into rehab. How she was the one who first picked me up when I got out. That same sister just told the man she's about to marry that I'm a drug addict. Not struggling. Not tempted. Not going through something. An addict. Dangerous. Unstable. Not safe to be around. It wasn't just a lie, it was character assassination. And the part that really got me? Nathan believed her. He didn't even reach out. No text. No call. No, "Hey man, what's going on?" Not even a basic check-in to see if I was okay. After 3 years of friendship, he ghosted me completely. And that's when I knew something else was going on. This wasn't just paranoia. It wasn't just bridezilla nerves. Sarah was hiding something. And I was going to find out what. I didn't confront her right away. A younger version of me might have gone nuclear, showed up at her house, demanded an explanation, maybe even aired it out on social media, just to make a point. But I've learned that the truth always speaks louder than yelling. And if she was lying about this, I wanted to hear it from her mouth. So I waited. And I listened. About a week after that call with my mom, I swung by her place under the excuse of dropping off a wedding gift. I figured if I played it cool, I might catch a glimpse of what she was actually up to, or at least plant a little doubt in her mind. When I pulled up to the house, her car and Nathan's were both parked out front. The front door was open, and I could hear voices inside. She hadn't noticed me yet. I was about to knock when I heard something that stopped me cold. It was her voice. And she was laughing. Seriously, how dumb is he? I told Nathan that Kyle was a mess again, and he just nodded like, oh wow, poor guy. That's all it took. My hand froze midair. I mean, come on. He barely asked questions, she continued. I even showed him one of those old rehab brochures I found in Mom's attic. Said I caught it in Kyle's glove compartment last month. He totally believed it. Then another voice, female. Sounded like her best friend, Amanda. Damn, you're savage. Please, Sarah said. It's not like I lied that much. I just exaggerated. I needed him out of the way. I don't want anyone poking around asking questions before the wedding. Especially not Kyle. He's the only one who actually knows. I felt my throat tighten. Knows what? They kept talking, but their voices dropped to a murmur as they walked deeper into the house. I backed off the porch like it was on fire, got into my truck, and sat there staring at the wheel. That wasn't just a lie to avoid drama. That was calculated. Strategic. She'd used my past to keep me silent. Because she knew I'd seen something. Or maybe because she was afraid I would see something if I showed up. Either way, she didn't just want me uninvolved. She wanted me erased. So I started digging. That night, I went back through years of texts, emails, old photos. Anything I might have missed. Sarah and Nathan had been together for 3 years, engaged for 1. Somewhere in that time, something changed. And that's when I remembered a weird incident from last summer. We'd all gone to the lake. Me, Sarah, Nathan, a few friends. I'd taken a few pictures, one of which caught Sarah walking down the dock, holding hands with a guy who definitely wasn't Nathan. I didn't think much of it at the time. She said it was just an old college buddy. But I still had the photo. So I zoomed in, checked the guy's face, then reverse searched it. Turns out, this college buddy was a man named Lucas. And he wasn't just a random guy. He was someone Sarah had been following on a private Instagram account under a fake name. One that didn't even show up when I searched her real one. It got weirder. I found an audio message buried in a group chat from about 6 months ago during a party. I must have missed it back then. It was barely 30 seconds long, but it had Sarah's voice, and I'll never forget what she said. Nathan's a placeholder. He's nice and stable. But once the wedding's over, Lucas is moving back here. I'll figure the rest out then. That line hit like a hammer to the chest. This wasn't just cold feet. This wasn't nerves or doubts or family pressure. Sarah had been planning something behind Nathan's back for a long time. And she was covering her tracks with me. Because if I showed up, if I was in the pictures, at the table, near the mic, someone might actually listen when I spoke. Someone might ask what I thought of their relationship. And I might accidentally mention that college buddy from the lake. So she shut me out. Not just socially. Publicly. She threw my reputation under the bus to buy herself time. I stared at that voicemail for a long time. Then I hit export. Saved it to a folder on my desktop. Opened a new document. Started copying texts. Screenshots. Notes. Dates. This wasn't about revenge. Not yet. This was about the truth. And once I had enough of it, I knew exactly how I was going to deliver it. When you grow up with someone, share a hallway, holidays, hand-me-downs, you never really expect you'll have to take them down. Not in the brutal, deliberate way I was about to. But Sarah crossed a line she couldn't uncross. She didn't just lie to Nathan. She didn't just throw me under the bus. She weaponized the worst chapter of my life, just to keep me out of the frame. And for what? A cover story? A clean wedding photo? No, I wasn't going to blow up her life out of spite. I was going to do it because Nathan deserved to know who he was marrying. So I got to work. Every night after I finished my plumbing jobs, I sat down with my laptop and started building a file. I called it truth_package.zip because that's exactly what it was. Not a revenge file. A truth file. Here's what I included. That blurry but clear enough photo from the lake. Sarah holding Lucas's hand while Nathan was grilling 10 feet away. Screenshots of Sarah's fake Instagram profile. Same phone background. Same nail color in the selfies. The audio clip, boosted for clarity, where she calls Nathan a placeholder and says she'll figure the rest out later. A WhatsApp text thread where she's planning a girls' weekend in Phoenix while texting Lucas. I booked the Airbnb. No one knows. Venmo receipts between her and Lucas, with suspicious emojis and references to our trip. I didn't have access to everything, but what I had painted a pretty damning picture. I even threw in a scan of my rehab completion certificate, just in case Nathan needed to double-check who was actually lying. Then I bought a plain black USB drive. No label. No logo. Just cold, silent memory. I copied the folder over, encrypted the drive with a simple password, and renamed it. You deserve the truth. That alone made my palms sweat. Now came the hard part. The delivery. I knew I couldn't text him. If Sarah saw it, she'd intercept. And honestly, I didn't trust Nathan to believe anything from me after how easily she manipulated him. I needed to hand it to him in person. No warning. No middleman. Just me, him, and a choice. So I did something I swore I wouldn't do. I bought a tux. I wasn't invited, but I didn't need an invite. I just needed the right moment. I called Daniel, my cousin, the one who first warned me, and asked him for the wedding details. He hesitated at first, but when I said, "Daniel, I'm not trying to crash the party. I just need 2 minutes with Nathan. Alone. Before the ceremony. That's all," he relented. "I'll text you the timeline," he said. "But if this goes sideways, man." "It won't," I said. "I promise." I rehearsed it 100 times. The handoff, the lines, the expression on my face. I knew there was a chance he'd just throw it in a drawer and never watch it. But I had to try. The day of the wedding, I parked 2 blocks from the venue, some overpriced vineyard that looked like a Pinterest board threw up, and waited. Guests were arriving in waves. Everyone looked sharp, buzzing with small talk and champagne. I waited until the coordinator had walked everyone to the seating area. Then I moved. I walked straight through the side path that led behind the venue toward the groom's prep room. I knew from the schedule that Nathan would be in there alone for about 15 minutes. No photographer. No groomsman. Just him. I knocked twice, then opened the door. Nathan looked up from the mirror, confused. "Kyle." He looked more surprised than angry. "Good start." "Hey," I said calmly. "I won't take more than a minute." He nodded, still clearly unsure. I reached into my pocket, pulled out the USB, and set it on the table next to him. "What's this?" he asked. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't accuse. I just looked him in the eye and said, "You deserve the truth. About Sarah. About everything. Kyle, man, if this is about." No lectures. No drama. You don't even have to watch it today. But before you say "I do" to my sister, maybe take 10 minutes. Alone. Just press play. He stared at the drive. I turned and walked out before he could say another word. Did I expect him to watch it? Honestly, no. But Nathan wasn't stupid. He was cautious. And cautious men don't ignore USB drives handed to them on their wedding day, especially when they're labeled like that. I didn't go to the ceremony. I drove straight to a diner on the edge of town, ordered black coffee, and stared at the wall for 2 hours. I wasn't sure if I'd get a call, a punch in the face, a lawsuit. But then my phone buzzed. No words. Just a photo. The altar. Empty. Guests murmuring. And the screen behind the DJ booth frozen on the title screen. You deserve the truth. There are moments in life where the world splits into 2 timelines. One where you say nothing, keep the peace, and walk away with your dignity, but nothing else. And one where you light the match, toss it over your shoulder, and watch what burns. Nathan picked the second. I found out what happened from Daniel later that night, after everything exploded. But the photo he sent, the altar empty, the giant projection screen glowing with the title "You Deserve the Truth," said enough. The whispers started before the clip even finished loading. Apparently, after I left, Nathan sat with that USB drive in his hands for about 5 minutes before he plugged it into his laptop. The files autoplayed in order. He sat there in his white button-down shirt, tie halfway done, watching everything unfold. The texts, the photos, the audio file, and then the voice clip. Sarah's voice, slightly slurred, probably buzzed, saying, "Nathan's just a phase. He's safe. He's boring. But once the wedding's over, I'll go back to the guy who actually makes me feel alive. Lucas is moving back. I just need to lock this thing down first." And then, laughing. That same soft, cruel laugh I'd heard from the porch. Nathan didn't cry, didn't scream. He just sat there, letting it all wash over him. And when the clip ended, he stood up, tightened his tie, and walked out of the room with the laptop in his hand. 15 minutes later, he stopped the officiant mid-intro, turned to the DJ, and said, "Play this. Full volume. Now." No explanation. No preface. Sarah was already halfway down the aisle. From what Daniel told me, the crowd fell silent as soon as they heard her voice. Her real voice. The one behind closed doors. The one Nathan had never heard before. You could hear the breath leave the room. Sarah's face, he said, went completely blank. Like someone pulled the plug on her expression. She tried to grab Nathan's arm. He stepped back like she was on fire. Her dad, my dad, too, stood up and shouted something about stopping the music. The DJ just shrugged and pointed at Nathan. Then came the second twist. After the video played, Nathan looked directly at my mom and said, "Did you know?" She froze. Didn't answer. He asked again, "Did you?" "No." She mumbled something like, "Let's just go somewhere and talk. This doesn't have to be." But it was too late. Because Nathan wasn't just betrayed by Sarah. He'd been misled by everyone around her. Everyone who co-signed the lie. Everyone who repeated it to protect her reputation. Everyone who believed I was the liability. So he turned to the guests and said, calmly, without rage, "There won't be a wedding today. Thank you for coming. There are refreshments in the back if anyone wants them." And then he walked out. No ceremony. No vows. No dramatic exit music. Just silence and the sound of one man choosing to leave before signing his life away to a lie. Sarah followed him out, crying and yelling, but not denying. That's what Daniel kept emphasizing. She didn't deny the video. She just kept screaming, "You don't understand. He's manipulating you." Kyle has always been jealous. It didn't mean anything. Nathan didn't even turn around. That night, she texted me, "You smug piece of trash. I hope you're proud of yourself. You ruined the best day of my life. You'll never be part of this family again." I didn't reply, not because I had nothing to say, but because I had already said everything I needed to on that USB. The next morning, the group chat from our extended family was chaos. Some people defended Sarah. Some demanded answers. A few offered me quiet thanks, saying they always thought something about her story felt off, but they didn't want to rock the boat. My mother didn't message me. Not once. She left the chat a few hours later. That part hurt more than I expected, but I reminded myself, anyone who's fine letting a lie destroy their son's name to preserve a fake image of their daughter, that's not a mother. That's a PR rep. As for Nathan, he didn't text me either. For a week. Then finally, late one night. "I'm not sure I would have believed you without that file. But I believe it now. You saved me." And that was it. No warm reunion. No beer on the porch. Just truth. Simple. Clean. Undeniable. I didn't need an apology. I just needed him to walk away before it was too late. The morning after the wedding, that wasn't. My phone was quiet. No missed calls. No angry voicemails. No Facebook explosions. It was the kind of silence you only get after a bomb goes off. Just ash and echoes. Sarah's meltdown had apparently spilled into the venue parking lot. Daniel told me she tried everything to save face. At first, she denied it. Then she blamed me, said I fabricated the messages. When that didn't work, she pivoted. We were on a break. Classic. But no one was buying it. Nathan didn't say a word. He got into his car, suit still pressed, tie still tight, and drove off alone. Left everything, gifts, rings, family, flowers, behind. And just like that, her fairy tale imploded. Later that afternoon, I got a call from my Aunt May. She's always been the quiet one. Neutral, careful with her words. But this time, she was pissed. "Did you really have to play that at the wedding?" she snapped. I almost laughed. I didn't. Nathan did. You gave it to him. Because he was about to marry someone who lied to him. You think that's better? She went quiet. Look, I continued. I didn't do this to humiliate her. I did it to stop someone from making the worst decision of his life. I know, she said, sighing. But your mother's taking it hard. I didn't answer. Because that wasn't news to me. My mom, who raised me, who picked me up from my worst lows, who cried when I left for rehab, had ghosted me completely. No call. No text. Not even a drive-by guilt trip. I wasn't angry. I was just done chasing her approval. Sarah was always the favorite. That's not bitterness. It's just math. She was the good kid, the one who didn't get in trouble, the one who made honor roll and never asked for bail money. Meanwhile, I was the cautionary tale. But what no one seems to grasp is, I changed. I didn't stay broken. I fixed myself while they were still writing me off. And now, when the golden child finally cracked, they couldn't handle the shift. So they looked the other way. A week went by. Then two. No apology. Not from Sarah. Not from Mom. Not from the people who smiled in my face while whispering behind it. Then one morning, while I was replacing a water heater in a duplex, I got another message from Nathan. I found her second phone. Nathan, she tried to lie again. Said it was for work. It wasn't. Apparently, Sarah had been using a burner phone to talk to Lucas and a couple other guys. Not just flirtation, either. Full conversations, some explicit. And those Venmo receipts? They were covering hotel rooms, not dinners. She said she needed help moving the rest of her stuff out of it. I told her I already changed the locks. That was the first time I smiled in days. It wasn't joy. Not exactly. It was closure. I asked him if he was okay. No, but I'm grateful. You didn't just save me from a bad marriage. You saved me from a life of second-guessing. We didn't speak after that. No need to. We weren't friends anymore. Not really. Too much happened. But that final message? It was enough. Meanwhile, Sarah tried to rebuild her version of the story. I heard through a mutual friend that she was telling people Nathan wasn't ready for commitment and spiraled after a bachelor party. Like clockwork. She changed her relationship status to single 3 days after the wedding and posted a gym selfie captioned, "No regrets. Just redirection." Gross. But here's the thing about lies, they get heavy. Especially when the scaffolding holding them up starts to rot. And I could already see it crumbling. Because truth doesn't need maintenance. A few of Sarah's friends started drifting. Not with drama, just slowly. Unfollowing. Uninviting. Detaching. People knew. Even the ones who didn't say it out loud. As for Mom, one afternoon, I dropped off groceries at her place. She opened the door, looked at me like I was the devil himself, and said, You embarrassed this family. I looked her in the eyes and replied, no. I exposed what was already embarrassing. And then I left. That conversation ended whatever scraps were left of the illusion that we were okay. But honestly, I didn't need her to clap for me. I just needed peace. And silence, real silence, not the avoiding kind, was a damn good start. 3 months. That's how long it took for Sarah to resurface with another bombshell. I was fixing a leaking sink at a rental property when Daniel, my cousin, the one who tipped me off in the beginning, called again. I picked up, thinking maybe it was about work. Instead, he said, "You sitting down? Because you're not going to believe what Sarah just posted." She'd uploaded a carefully filtered photo of herself in a white sundress, hands on her stomach. Captioned, "Sometimes life gives you a second chance when you least expect it." Yeah, she was pregnant. My jaw clenched before my brain caught up. Because if she was trying to make it look like Nathan came crawling back, or worse, that the baby was his, she was rewriting history on a whole new level. But I waited, watched, observed the comments. Most were the typical fluff. "OMG, congrats. So happy for you. You're glowing." Then someone, bold or just clueless, commented, "Is Nathan excited?" She didn't reply. Another person asked, "Wait, is this Lucas's baby?" And that comment vanished within the hour. Deleted. Gone. Like it had never existed. But the speculation kept bubbling under the surface. She wasn't confirming or denying anything. Just playing the game. Feeding the mystery. A few people from our extended family even messaged me asking if she and Nathan had made up. I just said, Nathan changed his locks for a reason. Short. Simple. No details. But the full story? Well, I already had that. Because Nathan texted me again about a week after her pregnancy post went up. "Nathan," she called me. Said she needed to talk. Wanted to grab coffee. "Nathan," she said she's pregnant. Didn't say who the dad is. But try to make it sound like it might be me. "Nathan, it's not." Turns out, Nathan had been celibate for the last few months of their relationship. Things had cooled off between them way before the wedding. No intimacy. No chance. "Nathan," she said she wants to talk like adults. I told her she should talk to the real dad instead. She didn't take that well. According to Nathan, she started crying on the call, then switched tactics and accused him of manipulating her memories. You read that right. Manipulating her memories. When that didn't work, she threatened to go public. Said she'd tell people he got her pregnant, and then bailed. He recorded the call. Sent me the audio. His voice was calm. Hers was erratic, all over the place. Classic Sarah spiral. I listened to it once, then deleted it. I didn't need more ammo. I already had the only thing that mattered, the truth. A few weeks later, I found out Sarah lost her job. HR complaint. Apparently, she'd been involved with someone at work, overlapping timelines with Nathan and Lucas. The company had a zero-tolerance policy. She tried to spin it, of course. Said she was being targeted. Office politics, she claimed. But anyone paying attention knew better. When you lie enough, eventually the truth stops knocking and just kicks the damn door in. Meanwhile, I got back to living my life. Work was steady. I picked up a few more private contracts, started saving up to buy a second truck. A few clients even recommended me to local property managers, which turned into regular income. One quiet Sunday, I took my tools out of the truck and saw a small envelope taped to my door. No name. No return address. Inside, a folded note, handwritten. "You were right. About everything. I should have listened. I'm sorry." No signature. But I knew the handwriting. It was Sarah's. I stood there for a moment, reading it, then rereading. I waited to feel something. Relief, anger, satisfaction. Nothing came. And that was the moment I realized I was free. Because I didn't need revenge anymore. I didn't need apologies, or approval, or for her to say I was right. I had peace. And she had a baby on the way, no partner, no job, and a reputation in tatters. I wish I could say I felt bad, that I had some great epiphany about forgiveness. But honestly, some bridges don't need rebuilding. They need to stay burnt, so you don't wander back across them. Before I walked inside that day, I wrote 2 words on the back of her letter. "Don't call." Then I dropped it in the trash. The past belongs exactly where it is, behind me. And that's the story. If you're still here, that means you're one of us. So go ahead, hit that subscribe button. I drop new chaos every single day, and trust me, tomorrow's story, it's even worse than this one.